Let's take a look at this news.
All right.
Well, one of the things, remember a couple shows ago we had the Westboro Baptist Church on? And
yeah, that was a really interesting show. I really enjoyed it.
It was, and I had to reach back into my days as a child growing up in a fundamentalist cult to get into her mindset.
Sure.
But what was interesting about this whole thing is that the Snyder family had sued them for showing up at their son's military funeral. Mm-hmm. And they won initially, but then it went to the United States, in the appeals in the circuit court, and the Snyder family lost, and they ended up having to pay the legal fees for the Westboro Baptist Church. Well, now this thing is kicking up into the Supreme Court, and there's a lot of parties who are filing amicus briefs, which means friend of the court, with the Supreme Court on behalf of Westboro. And this includes a lot of news agencies, constitutional law professors, and such. And the reason for that is that, if Westboro loses, it could severely infringe First Amendment rights to free speech. And according to the constitutional lawyers, they're saying that, if the court allowed indiscriminate punishment of offensive speech, this would, in the words of a previous court opinion, effectively empower a majority to silence dissidents simply as a matter of personal predilections. And I have to say, this is probably the first time in my life I have agreed with some of the religious right, because that's my view, too. Because if this kind of thing, yes, I don't think it's right that they're at these military funerals doing this. I think it's abhorrent. But at the same time, what kind of precedent is this going to set? Is it going to silence atheists because their speech is too irrational or whatever the majority agrees?
Right. If it sets its precedent, what's the difference between this precedent and an anti-blasphemy law?
Exactly. So this is a kind of weird, loopy one because I'm definitely for gay rights, but at the same time, I know where they're coming from, and I just think this is going to set a huge precedent. Well, and then the other thing, another poll came out, the Angus Reid public opinion poll last week, and I find it quite disturbing. 47% of Americans believe that humans were created in their present form during the last 10,000 years.
Yeah.
In other words, 47%, and in the southern states, it was 51% that believed in creationism. And compare America with Britain. 2/3 of the British believe in evolution. In Canada, 61%.
Just boggles my mind. Just completely boggles my mind.
I find it kind of alarming, actually, and they're trying to push this in the schools like we know what's happening in Texas and elsewhere. Well, then on the other side of the globe, the burqa ban looks like it's going to go forward in France. Spain is about to do the same thing, and then you and I were talking earlier about the Muslims that were facing the wrong way for their prayer.
In Indonesia, yeah.
So they were facing they were facing Africa instead of Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, that was kind of a cute little story.